welcome to Maui Karen Ann. This is definitely a different segment. Today I'm going to be making Portuguese sweet cinnamon bread. It's a recipe I got from my mother-in-law, but then of course I had to tweak it here and there. So anyway, it is what it is. So I hope this isn't too long. I hope you enjoy it. We're going to try to get this together. So first of all, I have to start with my oven, and I have to put on proof, because that's where we're going to let our bread raise, is proof. So I think I just canceled everything. Let's try again. Start. Okay. Start. I always turn my oven light on because sometimes I put stuff in there and I forget, and then it burns. Okay, so the next step is to heat up your milk. It's 1.5 cups of milk, and we've got whole milk, but you could use whatever kind you want. So just putting it in the pan. And then you just have to watch it so it doesn't burn. You just want to scald the milk. So I kind of watch it, and then while that is scalding, I get other things ready. So I've got most of it ready now. This also requires 1.5 cups of orange juice. So we're going to do 1.5 cups of orange juice. And 1/2 cup of real butter. So what I do when this gets scalded, I cut the butter up a little bit, and then I put it in the milk, let it dissolve, then I pour the orange juice in. Sometimes the orange juice may kind of curdle it, but it's okay, don't worry. If it looks kind of curdled and funny, it's going to be fine. Okay, so the milk is steaming. I don't know if you can see it, but it is steaming and not boiling, so that's what you want. Now I've already cut the butter up, so I'm just going to drop the butter in. Be careful not to splash yourself. Okay. And then I let this melt. And when this is melted, I put in the orange juice. Okay, the butter is all melted. 1.5 cups of orange juice goes in. And then I really, really, really cheat. I'm going to put some ice cubes in. Woo! And splash everything up. I do that just to speed up the process of the milk cooling. So it's not going to be too hot and hurt the yeast.
So it was whole milk and now it's skim milk.
Yes, you could say that. You could say that. So I'm going to wait a couple of minutes for that to melt. And if it doesn't get all melted, I just pick the ice cubes out. But in the meantime now, I can take this. I'm going to move over to the sink. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to break up 3 eggs. And I know you're supposed to do these individually into a glass or something, but I live dangerously. I don't do that. They're all good. So I whisk those up just a little bit. So we got 3 eggs. Okay. Now I need 1/2 cup of sugar. 1/2 cup of sugar. I put that in. Gonna mix that in. And 1/2 cup of canola oil. mix this up as well as can be expected, because you know the oil doesn't like to mix up. But that's all right. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to mix it in the mixer. Now this is the fun part. My mixing bowl is on the floor. Can you scan over there, or you want to cut? Okay. This is my mixer. Now, I have a professional mixer out in the garage. It's a Hobart, because we owned a bakery at one point. And we owned the bakery because of this bread, believe it or not. This bread started out as just something I made at home. And then my husband, who worked at a car dealership at the time, was talking about the bread I make. And so people at the dealership, the salesmen, bought bread. So one weekend, my mother was in town, and Tony and my mother and I think we made, did we make 12, 13 loaves of bread or something on a Sunday by hand? That killed us, but we did it. So I also owned a hair salon at the time, and people from my hair salon, my customers, were buying my bread. So that turned into us opening a bakery in Las Vegas. So I still have the mixer, so you'll get to see it. Here is the mixing bowl. It's a 32-quart mixing bowl. So I put the eggs, the sugar, and the oil in there. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to rinse this out and have room temperature water, and then I'm going to add the yeast to this. Okay, so I rinsed this out, and I've got about a cup of warm water, and I've got 2 packages of rapid rise instant yeast. I'll cut that off. Just mix that up. Then, the good thing to do, you want to know if your yeast is good, because you don't want to go through all of this and not have your bread rise. So, the trick to do that is, after you've got this mixed up in the water, I'm going to take some sugar, maybe like a tablespoon of sugar, put that in, and mix it up. If the yeast is good, this will rise. So I just let it sit and let it rise to the top of the cup, and then I'll pour it into my mixer, my bowl over here. And now I can also check to see how this is doing. Yeah, this is cool. So what I need to do, there's a couple of ice cubes that didn't melt, so I'll just get them out. And then I pour this into my mixing bowl. Now, next I'm going to put the flour in, and it's 12 cups of flour. And I have my flour in this big plastic container, and I also always have a couple of bay leaves in the flour because that keeps the bugs out. Although I go through my flour pretty fast, I still want to be careful. So now it's 12 cups of flour. This is a 4-cup container, so I just do 1, 2, we're getting low on flour, but we've got more in the garage. Okay. Then I also take and put some extra in this so that when I go to the garage to mix this up, if I haven't added enough flour or it's more humid today and I need more flour, we've got it ready. Okay, now we just have to wait for the yeast. Okay, the yeast is risen. And I'm trying to get these gloves on.
It's alive! It's alive!
Oh, scary, isn't it? Oh, it just popped the bubble. Okay, so I'm going to put that in. So I've got everything in here now for this bread. You know, this has kind of been a secret recipe. We haven't ever given it. We wanted the 2 daughters to maybe carry on the tradition. Nikki helped me one day make bread, and she said it was too much work. And I don't think Shelley's ever done it, so, or even tried. So anyway, we're giving the world our secret recipe. Here we go. We're going to go to the garage, to the mixer. Woo! There we go. Okay. This is our big Hobart mixer. As you can see, it's been moved. Here's the moving tag.
Where's it been?
It's been to Arizona. It's been to Hawaii, back to Vegas, and back to Colorado. It's a traveling mixer.
In a briefcase.
Yeah, this is so heavy that it takes 2 or 3 men to move it. So now I'm just going to turn the mixer on, let it do its thing. I mix it for 7 minutes. So I've got 7 minutes to stand out here in the garage with it. And sweat because it's very hot and humid today. So we'll just let this mix and I'll show you what it looks like when we're done. Okay, so Tony brought the mixer in for me. And I'm just going to push it off here. I should tell you that we use bread flour that we buy at Costco for it.
Rolling in the dough now.
Yeah, rolling in the dough. So, here's our dough. Woo! Nice and squishy. Fun to play with. I'm just going to sprinkle a little flour there. Ah.
Okay, and I'm going to, whoop, the rolling.
Okay, this is it. Okay, now I have these 2 gigantic, they're Rubbermaid bowls that I bought 1,000 years ago. Get your drink out of the way.
I'll get my drink out of the way.
I don't want to spill your drink.
You let everybody know I'm drinking?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to take off one of my gloves. So I spray Pam in the pan. Because we don't want the bread to stick. So I spray 1 pan completely or one bowl completely. I put the bread in like this, and then I turn it over so that the top is oiled so it doesn't dry out. I pick this one up and I spray just around the edges because the bread will raise to that point. And it'll probably take, anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half in the oven on the proof setting. Now, the proof setting is 100 degrees. So if you don't have proof setting, I think you could just set your oven for 100 degrees and let it rise. But it'll take 1.5 to 2 hours. I also at this point put in a little dish of butter. I want it to melt, and I'm going to use that when I make my cinnamon, put my cinnamon mixture on the bread. Okay, so we'll just let that sit in there and melt. Okay, that's it. Okay, everybody, I've got my microphone now. I guess you can probably hear me better. So, let's spread this out. I've got a really nice wood. Oops, what's in here? What is that? It's gone.
Penny, it's a penny.
No, it's not a penny. The bread is nice and warm, so it was a cold day. It'd feel good. But anyway, I've got this wood block here that I've used, or this wood board that I've used for how many years? 30 years maybe? That I've been making this bread.
Maybe longer.
And so I have cut marks on it as to where I want to cut the bread and how far I want the bread to go. But today I'm going to do something a little different than what I usually do. I think I have too much dough, so I'm going to cut a little off, probably of each side. And I've got 2 little pans here. I'm going to make just regular white bread with it. What do you think, Tony? Think you'll like that?
I like those grilled cheese.
So, well, those are going to be real little sandwiches.
Mini grilled cheese sandwich.
Oh my God, yeah.
It'll be almost the size of a half a strip of bacon.
Yeah, probably. Okay. So here, I've got these. I'm going to do these first, actually. But I'm going to cut my bread up so I can get it off this. So I'm going to do this in half. And then in fourth. We're going to do fourth. And going to place it in here. Oh, would you give me the other pan, please, Tony, over there? I left it there. I usually bring it. Sorry.
He's got to make me work.
I know, you're my helper today, so. Okay.
Baby,
No, I don't want that there. It's my work
heavy.
stick.
It's heavy.
Yeah, I know it's heavy. Okay, so I've got just this little bit of bread. I'll just work it a little bit. Turn it over. Gonna need some flour. Okay, now this is the hairdresser that comes out in me. I'm going to cut this into threes. Squish them up like that. And then I'm going to braid them. Guess I just got enough for one little pan. And then I'm going to put it in here. I'll let it raise again. Okay, now it's time for this. So I've got the marks right up here. I've got 4 marks. So I want them at least to be that wide, the dough. Okay, now I'm going to sprinkle cinnamon, and no, there's no measurements. You put on what you like. Some people like a lot, some people don't like so much. Then I take some sugar. And then I do this with it, get it all over, then I turn this over. Now, the butter that I melted, I brush a little bit on this side. Don't need a lot, but just enough. And now I've got a mixture of sugar and cinnamon, and I'm going to just put that on. And again, I don't measure, I just do it by eye. Squish it around. I put the butter on because it sticks better, the cinnamon and the sugar. And I mix them because when I do them separately, one will stick more than the other. So, I mean, this has been trial and error. So again, I cut it into threes. And my board is marked up here so I know just where to cut. Try to get them even as you can, and then I braid. Try to keep this side on top. So you turn it to make sure that that's on top. Then I kind of tuck it under, and I put it in my pan where I have put parchment paper. And now we let it rise. So I'm going to continue to do this. You don't need to watch it. You've seen it once. Hey everybody, I've got the bread all in their little braids. I'm putting them in the the oven to rise. You can see they look really good. So we'll let them rise. And I'm going to change the lower oven. I'm going to turn it up to 350. So a couple of these will always rise first, higher than the others, because I braided them first. So then I'll be able to stick them in because the oven will be hot. So 350, 30 minutes, sometimes 35 minutes, just depends. You have to watch them. Okay, I let the bread rise. I hope you can see it all. And now it's in the oven baking. This little one I put in before, it looks like it's getting close to done. I'll take that out in a little bit.
Good.
Smells good.
Yep.
Okay, everybody, the bread is baked. As you can tell, it gets really brown because I want to make sure the bottom is done. So this is the little white one. Came out cute. Anyway, when it gets a little cooler, I will take a hold of the paper and just lift it out. It needs to cool a little bit first. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please put it in comments. I appreciate anything you have to say. I have some shout outs. The first one is to Rusticated Art. He uses a pencil, different kinds of pencils, does such great detail of country, homes, and trees, and fences, and it's amazing. You need to watch. The other one is Dano's Art in Motion, and she's a young lady that does abstract fluid art. Really good. You need to check her out. And last but not least, we've got Ian Good. Now, Ian has a garden to die for. I wish I was close to him so I could have some of those vegetables. Ian, you're the man with the green thumb for sure. Anyway, I want to say mahalo for watching and tell you that this makes great French toast. And if you like bread pudding, oh my gosh, this is to die for. Nothing else, it's just good to slice toast or slice and put it in the microwave and put butter on it. Anyway, thank you.